देवाय Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Dreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 12, the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. Text 187 onwards. Tabbe Prabhu Pratyeke Sab Bhaktir Naam Laya Pitha Paya Diyo Ela Prashada Kariya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then took all the remnants of food offered to Jagannath, such as cakes and sweet rice, and distributed them to all the other devotees, calling them individually. Advaita Nityananda Vashi Yachen Ekathai, Dui Jane Krida Kala Lagila Tathai. Sri Advaita Acharya and Nityanand Prabhu sat side by side, and when prasadam was being distributed, they engaged in a type of mock fighting. Advaita kehe avadhuter sange ek panti, bhojan karilu na jani habe kon gati. First Advaita Acharya said, I'm sitting in line with an unknown mendicant. And because I'm eating with him, I do not know what kind of destination is awaiting me. Prabhuta sannyasi yohar nahi apachaya. Anna dosha sannyasi ra dosha nahi hai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the renounced order of life. Consequently, he does not recognize discrepancies. As a matter of fact, a sannyasi is not affected by eating food from anywhere and everywhere. Na anna doshe namaskari shastra pramana amita grihastha brahmana amar dosha sthana. According to the Shastras, there is no discrepancy in a sannyasi's eating at another's house. But for a householder Brahman, this kind of eating is faulty. Janma kul shilachara na janiya hara tara sange ek pankti bada anachara. It is not proper for householders to dine with those whose previous birth, family, character, and behavior are unknown. Nityananda kahe tumi Advaita Acharya, Advaita Siddhante Vade, Shuddha Bhakti Karya. Nityananda Prabhu immediately refuted Srila Advaita Acharya, saying, you are a teacher of impersonal monism. And the monistic conclusion is a great hindrance to progressive, pure devotional service. So you are a teacher of impersonal monism because your name is Advaita. Advaita means no duality, monism. But their fight is mocking fight. Actually, they both are glorifying each other in a very hidden way, subtle way. So one should try to understand it properly. तुम्हारे सिद्धांत संग करे जय जाने एक वस्तु बिना सही द्वितीय नहीं माने. One who participates in your impersonal monistic philosophy does not accept anything but the one Brahman. The impersonal monist does not believe that God is the only object of worship and that the living entities are his eternal servants. According to the monist, God and the devotee may be separate in the material state, but when they are spiritually situated, there is no difference between them. This is called Advaita Siddhanta. The conclusion of the monist. Monists consider devotional service of the Lord to be material activity. Therefore, they consider such devotional activities to be same as karma or fruitive activity. This monastic mistake is a great stumbling block on the road to devotion service. Actually, this discussion between, although Advaita Acharya is not a monist, but by his name, and once he was preaching like that to get the mercy of Mahaprabhu, we read that pastime. Mahaprabhu went to his house in Shantipur and chastised Advaita Acharya. But as Prabhupada said, actually this discussion between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda was a mock fight to serve as a great instruction for all devotees. Sri Nityanand Prabhu wanted to point out that Advaita Acharya, a pure devotee, did not agree with the monastic conclusion. The conclusion of devotion service is Vadanti tattva tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagvaniti shabdyate. Means learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. So absolute knowledge consists of Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. This conclusion is not the same as the monist. Srila Advaita Acharya was given the title of Acharya because he spread the bhakti cult, not the philosophy of monism. The true conclusion of Advaita Siddhanta expressed at the very beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita is not the same as the philosophy of the monists. Here Advaita Siddhanta means Advaya Jnana or oneness in variety. Actually, Srila Nityanand Prabhu was praising Srila Advaita Acharya through friendly mock fighting. He was giving the Vaishnava conclusions in terms of Bhagavatam's conclusive words, Vadanti tattva tattva vida. Mean those who know the truth, real truth. This is also the conclusion of a mantra in Chandogya Upanishad, Ekam Eva Advitiyam. A devotee knows that there is oneness in diversity. But that oneness in diversity does not mean everything is one. Everything is spiritual, yes. Everybody or every devotee has the same goal to serve Krishna or to serve the Lord. But that oneness doesn't mean everybody is same. The mantras of the Shastras do not support the monastic conclusions of the impersonalists, nor does Vaishnava philosophy accept impersonalism without variety. Brahman is the greatest, he who includes everything, and that is oneness. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Matta Paratram Nanyat. There is no one superior to Krishna himself. He is the original substance because every category emanates from him. Every category means he's the Brahm Jyoti, Paramatma, material, energy, everything comes from him. Thus, he is simultaneously one with and different from all other categories. The Lord is always engaged in a variety of spiritual activities, but the monist cannot understand spiritual variety. The conclusion is that although the powerful and the power are one and the same, within the energy of the powerful there are varieties. In those varieties, there is a distinction between different parts of one's personal self, between types of the same category, and between types of different categories. In other words, there is always variety in the categories, which are understood as knowledge, the knower, and the knowable. So there is always variety in the categories. Means, even if we look at the material categories, 8,400,000 species, there are varieties. And there are varieties in spiritual life also. Everybody is not connected with the Lord in the same rasa. There are Shantras, Dasaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuryaras, and then there are so many varieties of those. Secondary rasas are there. In other words, there is always variety in the category. Due to the eternal existence of knowledge, knower, and the knowable, devotees everywhere know about the eternal existence of the form, name, qualities, pastimes, and entourage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotees never agree with the monist preaching of oneness. Unless one understands to the conceptions of the knower, the knowable, and the knowledge, there is no possibility of understanding spiritual variety, nor can one taste the transcendental bliss of spiritual variety. So this is what we have to understand, not that, oh, everything is one, everybody is same, everything is one. No. The philosophy of monism is an adjustment of the Buddhist philosophy of voidism. In a mock fight with Sri Advaita Acharya, Sri Nityananda Prabhu was refuting this type of monastic philosophy. Vaishnavas certainly accept Lord Shri Krishna as ultimate one, and that which is without Krishna is called Maya, or that which has no existence. External Maya is exhibited in two phases: Jiva Maya, the living entities, and Guna Maya, the material world. In the material world, there is Prakriti, material nature, and Pradhan, the ingredients of material nature. However, for one who becomes Krishna conscious, the distinction between material and spiritual varieties does not exist. An advanced devotee like Prahlad Maharaj sees everyone, everything as one, Krishna. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna Griha Grihatma Agrihitatma Na Veda Jagad Idrisha. One who is in full Krishna consciousness does not distinguish between things material and spiritual. He takes everything to be related to Krishna and therefore spiritual. By Advait Jnana Darshan, Srila Advaita Acharya has glorified pure devotional service. Srila Nityananda Prabhu herein sarcastically condemns the philosophy of the impersonal monists and praised the correct, non-dual philosophy of Sri Advaita Prabhu. But one has to understand this mock fighting or whatever Nityananda or even Advaita Acharya is saying. Understand it properly in Tattva. Otherwise, we can commit offenses. Hena tomare sange mor ekatre bhojan, na jani tomare sange kaiche hai man. Nityananda Prabhu continued. We are such a monist, and now I am eating beside you. I do not know how my mind will be affected in this way. Sangat sanjayate kam. One develops his consciousness according to society and association. As Srila Nityananda Prabhu admits, a devotee should be very careful when associating with those who are not devotees. When asked by a householder devotee what the behavior of a devotee should be, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately replied, Asatya Sangha Tyaga e Vaishnavacha. Stri Sangi Eka Sadhu Krishna Bhakta. Krishna Abhakta. Means a Vaishnava devotee should simply discard intimate association with non-devotees. So, intimate association means by which we can get affected. Or for preaching, we have to associate. For meeting people, we have to associate. For work, for either business or job, we have to get in touch with people. But no intimate association. In his Updeshamrit, Srila Rupa Goswami has described the symptoms of intimate relationships in this way. Tadati pratigranati guhyamakhyati prachati. The words bhunkte bhojyate indicate that one should eat with devotees. One should carefully avoid eating food offered by non-devotees. Indeed, a devotee should be very strict in not accepting food from a non-devotee, especially food prepared in restaurants or hotels or on airplanes. Srila Nityananda Prabhu reference in this connection is meant to emphasize that one should avoid eating with Mayavadis and covert Mayavadis like the Sahajya Vaishnavas who are materially affected. So yes, the food, where do we eat? Where do we buy the food from? It makes a big difference. So you got to be careful, very, very careful. Jaisa anna vaisa man, and jaisa pani vaisi vani. Ei mat dui jane kare bala bhali, vyaj stuti kare duhe yena gala gali. Thus they both went on talking and praising one another, although their praise appeared negative. For it appeared as if they exchanged ill names. It appeared, but it wasn't there actually. Tabbe Prabhu Sarva Vaishnavir Namalaya Mahaprasad Dena Maha Amrita Sinchiya. Thereafter, calling all the Vaishnavas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed Mahaprasadam as if sprinkling nectar. At that time, the mock fight between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu became more and more delicious. भोजन करी उठे सबे हरि ध्वनि करी, हरि ध्वनि उठिला सब स्वर्ग मर्त्य भारी. After taking their lunch, all the Vaishnavas stood up and chanted the holy name of Hari, and the resounding noise filled all the upper and lower planetary systems. तबे महाप्रभु सब निज भक्त गाने, सबा कार्य श्री हस्ते दिला माल्य चंदाने. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered flower garlands and sandalwood pulp to all his beloved personal associates. तबे परिवेशक स्वरूपादि सात जान, गृहेर भीतरे कैला प्रसाद भोजन. The seven persons headed by Swarup Damodar who were engaged in distributing prasadam to others then took their meals within the room. Prabhur avashesh Govind rakhila dhariya, sei anna haridase kichu dilalaya. Govinda saved some remnants of food left by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and kept them carefully. Later, one portion of these remnants was delivered to Haridas Thakur. Bhakta Gana Govinda Pasha Kichu Maginila Sai Prasad Anna Govinda Apani Paila. The remnants of food left by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were later distributed among devotees who begged for them, and finally Govinda personally took the last remnants. स्वतंत्र ईश्वर प्रभु करे नाना खेला, धोया पाखाला नाम कैला एक लीला. The fully independent Supreme Personality of Godhead performs various types of pastimes. The pastime of washing and cleansing the Gundicha temple is but one of them. Aradine Jagannather Netra Utsav Nama Mahotsava Haila Bhakter Prana Samman. The next day marked the performance of the festival of Netrotsav. This great festival was the life and soul of the devotees. So actually now Netrotsav happens on the evening of Gundicha Mandir. So Netrotsav is first darshan of Lord Jagannath after Snan Yatra and the day before Rath Yatra. After the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannath, during the fortnight before the Rath Yatra ceremony, the body of Lord Jagannath, having been washed, needs repainting. This is known as Angarag. The Netrotsav festival, performed gorgeously in the early morning of the Nav Yovan day, constitutes the life and soul of the devotees. Pakshadin Dukhi Loka Prabhur Adarshane Darshan Kariya Loka Sukha Paila Mahane. Everyone was unhappy for a fortnight because they could not see the deity of Lord Jagannath. Upon seeing the Lord at the festival, the devotees were very happy. Mahaprabhu Sukhelaya Sava Bhakta Gana Jagannatha Darshane Karila Gamana. On this occasion, greatly unhappy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took all the devotees with him and visited the Lord in the temple. Aage Kashishwara Yaye Loka Nevariya Pache Govinda Jaye Jad Karanga Laya. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to visit the temple, Kashishwara walked in the front, checking the crowds of people, and Govinda walked in the rear, bringing the sannyasi's pitcher filled with water. The Karang is a kind of water pot, especially carried by Mayavadi sannyasis and generally carried by all other sannyasis. Prabhu Rage Puri Bharati Duhar Gaman Swarup Advaita Duhera Parshve Duyijan. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went towards the temple, Parmanand Puri and Brahmanand Bharati walked in front of him, and at his two sides walked Swarup Damodar and Advaita Chandra. Pache pache chali jaye ar bhakta gana, utkanthate gela sab Jagannath Bhavan. With great eagerness, all the other devotees followed them into the temple of Lord Jagannath. Darshana lobhete kari maryada langa, bhoga mandape yaya kare Shri Mukha darshan. Out of great eagerness to see the Lord, they all neglected the regulative principles and just to see the Lord's face went to the place where the food was offered. There are many regulative principles of deity worship. For example, one is not allowed to enter the temple, enter the room where food is offered to Lord Jagannath. But in this case, being very eager because of not having seen the Lord for 15 days, all the people overruled the regulative principles and entered the room. Trishartha Prabhur Netra Brahmara Jugala Gada Trishnaye Piye Krishnera Vadana Kamala. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very thirsty to see the Lord, and his eyes became like two bumblebees, drinking the honey from the lotus-like eyes of Lord Jagannath, who is Krishna himself. Prafulla Kamala Jini Nayana Jugala Nilamani Darpana Kanti Ganda Jhalamala. The eyes of Lord Jagannath conquered the beauty of blossoming lotus flowers, and his neck was as lustrous as a mirror made of sapphires. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu usually saw Lord Jagannath from a distance, standing behind the column of Garuda. But because he had not seen Lord Jagannath for 15 days, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt great separation from him. In great eagerness, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu crossed the meeting hall and entered the room where food was offered, just to see the face of Lord Jagannath. In verse 210, this action is called a Maryada Langhan, a violation of the regulative principles. This indicates that one should not come very near a superior. Both the Lord's deity form and the spiritual master should be seen from a distant place. This is called Maryada. Otherwise, as it is said, familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes coming too near the deity or the spiritual master degrades a neophyte devotee. Personal servants of the deity and the spiritual master should therefore always be very careful, for negligence may overcome them in their duty. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eyes have been compared to thirsty bumblebees, and Sri Jagannath's eyes have been compared to blossoming lotus flowers. The author has made this comparison in order to describe Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while the Lord was deeply absorbed in ecstatic love for Lord Jagannath. So this is how actually we should also be eager to take darshan of the Lord, whichever temple we go to. And actually when we take darshan, darshan should start from the lotus feet of the Lord, and then we go up all the way to his lotus face. But at the time, and also at the same time, we should take the darshan, as Prabhupada mentioned some of the places. We take the darshan in such a way that if somebody asks us to describe the clothes and the jewelry of the Lord, we should be able to. I mean, this is how thorough our darshan should be. Bandhulira full jini adhara suranga, ishata hasita kanti amrita taranga. The chin of the Lord, tinged with buff color, conquered the beauty of the bandhuli flower. This increased the beauty of his mild smiling, which was like lustrous waves of nectar. Shri Mukha Sundar Kanti Bade Kshane Kshane Koti Bhakta Netra Bring Kare Madhupane. The luster of his beautiful face increased at every moment, and the eyes of hundreds and thousands of devotees drank its honey like bumblebees. Yat piya tat trishna bade nirantara mukham bujya chadi netra na jaye antara. As their eyes began to drink the nectarian honey of his lotus face, their thirst increased. Thus their eyes did not leave him. In Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami has described the beauty of the Lord in this way. Asaman urdhva madhura tarangamrita varidhi jangham stavaro lasi rupo gopendra nandan. The beauty of the son of Maharaj Nanda is incomparable. Nothing is higher than his beauty, and nothing can equal it. His beauty is like waves in an ocean of nectar. This beauty is attractive both for moving and for non-moving objects. Similarly, in the Tantra Shastra, there's some other description of the Lord's beauty. Kandarpa Koti Arbuddha Rupa Shobha. I shall relate the supreme meditation upon Lord Shri Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. The tips of the toes of his lotus feet reflect the beauty of the bodies of unlimited millions of cupids, and his bodily luster has never been seen or heard of anywhere. The tips of the toes of his lotus feet reflect the beauty of the bodies of unlimited millions of cupids. I can't even imagine. ए मत महाप्रभु लय भक्त गण मध्यान्ह पर्यंत कैला श्री मुख दर्शन. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees enjoyed transcendental bliss upon seeing the face of Jagannath. This continued to midday. Shved Kamp Ashru Jal Vahe Sarvakshana Darshanera Lobhe Prabhu Kare Samvaran. As usual, there were transcendental blissful symptoms in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body. He perspired and trembled, and a constant flow of tears fell from his eyes. But the Lord checked those tears so they would not disturb his seeing the face of the Lord. Madhya Madhya Bhoga Lage Madhya Darashana Bhogera Samay Prabhu Karena Kirtan. The looking at the face of Lord Jagannath was interrupted only when he was offered food. Afterwards, they would again look upon his face. When the food was being offered to the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his kirtan. Darshan Anande Prabhu Sab Pasharila Bhakta Garna Madhyan Karite Prabhu Relaya Gela. Feeling such great pleasure upon seeing the face of Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forgot everything. The devotees, however, took him to his lunch at noontime. Prata Kale Ratha Jatra Habe Kajaniya Sevak Lagaya Bhoga Dviguna Kariya. Knowing that the car festival would take place in the morning, all the servants of Lord Jagannath were doubling their offerings of food. Gundicha Madhya Lila Sankshepe Kahila Yaha Dekhi Shuni Papir Krishna Bhakti Hahila. I have briefly described the pastimes of the Lord in washing and cleansing the Gundicha temple. By seeing or hearing these pastimes, even sinful men can awaken their Krishna consciousness. So, Shirup Raghunath Padejar Asha Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 12, describing the washing and cleansing of the Gundicha temple. Hari Bol. I guess I can stop here. Tomorrow we'll start the chapter 13, ecstatic dancing of the Lord at Rath Yatra. Another wonderful chapter. Okay, anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, in Padma Puran, at the very end, like I would say, like the last 100 or 150 or 200 pages, it's like a 1,000 pages Puran. So there it is mentioned like Sri Mahadev ji is talking, with Parvati ji about he's glorifying, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, how superior it is. It's the Mahapuran, and with a different katha, like a story about each of the episodes. So in Padma Puran, whoever reads it, every one or two chapters, right? Like Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, 2, then 3, 4, like that. He's talking about, telling a story about it, like how it actually, not the entire 18 episodes, but just or the 18 chapters, but just a few of them. If someone reads what is the benefit, how they got the moksha by just reading, by just you know, daily basis, on a daily basis. If, and mostly if they are talking about, you know, some rishi or some pious souls, they are reading on a daily basis and then they got liberated. They attained that, you know, uh, the abode. So that this is what I was reading, Prabhuji, and I found so, you know, amazed by that, the benefit of reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita. If somebody does that on a routinely basis, then nothing like it. There is no other Puran or Granth or any book like that.
Yep, and not just that, in Gita Mahatmya, which is
Hmm.
written by Shankaracharya himself, Prabhupada has quoted those verses of Gita Mahatmya in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah,
And it is said there is no scripture like Bhagavad Gita. There is no scripture like Bhagavad Gita. None.
absolutely.
So yeah, yeah. And not just reading the shlokas, by Prabhupada's mercy, we can understand those shlokas also now. But
Even some
again,
of the stories, Prabhuji, what Mahadev is telling, in those it says that half of the recitation of the shloka liberated the soul
yeah.
from the, you know, current situation. Even half of the shloka, not even the full shlokas. Maybe.
Someplace it is said not just half, even quarter shloka. If somebody remembers that at the time of death, any
Mhm.
shloka of Bhagavad Gita, he can be liberated.
Exactly.
It's that powerful.
So प्रभु जी मैंने तो ठान रखा है कि इसको I always repeat, so I will continue till the last breath. See, because there's nothing and there's no other treasure, you know, like Bhagavad Gita.
Yep,
So
yep, that is true. Yeah, glad if we can do that. Okay.
and thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.